Hello everybody, this is Pete from PAW Labs, and this is the little video I mentioned about in today's post. Um, so what I've got built to date is the game launches, it's all pretty standard stuff. The phase is the bombing phase, the high level bombing. The access, it's their turn, they can choose whatever bombers and fighters and dive bombers. They want airplanes and can attack anything within range. So they select the airstrip and choose their bombers. And I'm going to walk these one at a time. And we will jump up here. They then click the attack button, which shades in the whole world where this plane can go, and they come down and decide to attack these two units. Okay, so they select their target. Next, they come in and say, okay, I'm going to take another airstrip and add a fighter from this airstrip to support the attack of these bombers to, just escort them. Okay, so if we look over here, we have two infantry that are being attacked, the 3rd and 8th Infantries. And then up here we have one fighter group and two bomber groups. Okay, 16 fighters and 16 bombers. All right, so moving along, we'll get rid of that one. Okay, now the access player, Germany, presses commit. And if we didn't point that out a minute ago, there's the commit button, or they can abort and totally get out of here. But they hit the commit button and control now moves to the allied player. Germany is done. This is what they've committed to that attack. Okay, so now we flip over and you know you're on Germany because of the flag. And then up here, we have the allied player screen. So he now has the commit button on his. He doesn't really get the abort button. He can't call off the attack. But like I said, this is all still seriously alpha. So they look at the screen and kind of shake their head and say, okay, let's go figure out what we're going to do. And he comes in and chooses an airstrip and selects two fighter groups to support the attack. Okay. Now, when he hits the fire button, the attack button, the line is automatically drawn to this one combat. He can't choose a different cell anywhere. All he can do is choose who's joining the attack. Okay, so we go up here to screen 7. So we get our line coming across from this airfield to that cell. And now we have the 1st and 2nd fighter wings and two infantries against a fighter wing and two bombers. Okay, so now he presses commit on his screen. And when he presses commit on his screen, both players will then jump to the combat screen. Okay, this is just an initial mock-up on the combat screen. Okay, I guess that's a lot smaller window. Yeah, it is. Look at that. Okay, so it's a lot smaller screen. So you get the defenders on the left and the attackers on the right. The defenders are broken by air groups and then land groups. Okay, the actual images are pulled out of these guys and put on the screen in the air, and the images are put here on the ground. The attackers are only air, so there are no ground units to come into the screen here. And the matrix I was talking about is an element to element matrix. It's a massive I think I have 18 or 20 elements, okay? So it's 20 by 20 grid. And, for example, the bombers, high level bombers. An infantry rifle group cannot touch those bombers. Shoot all they want to shoot. There is nothing they're going to do to those bombers in World War II. So they have a chance at fighters if the fighters are attacking them. But in this instance, what is going to happen, and uh, I haven't worked out exactly how this is going to materialize. I've got most of it in my head now, but we'll have this in phases. So round one, the allied player it'll default probably to like items. So it'll be fighters against fighter. Okay, so it'll be a 2-to-1 against the fighters. Or the allied player can choose to says one of those fighter groups, one of those fighter groups must attack the fighter group. The other can choose to attack the fighter group, and they'll get a much higher success shooting down rate of planes if it's 2-to-1, 18, what is it, 16 to 8, so it's a 2-to-1 on fighters, and that should be about a 70% chance that each of those uh, uh, defenders shoot down a plane. So Germany will end up with one, maybe two of those alive if they're lucky, if it's 2-to-1. Otherwise, he can say take them on at 1-to-1, which will probably be I don't know, 40% chance of a hit, one way or the other, actually, because both are fighting. So Germany, let's see, defenders normally get to fire first, and then the attackers. So the other fighter group can go against the two bombers. So then it's um, 8 fighters against 16 bombers. So that'll be an interesting fight unto itself. So once that is resolved, and we're down to just what's left. The fighters are used, the bombers are used. Well, the bombers are used in the air, but somewhere along the line, they're going to, carpet bomb this hex, which will do damage to these units. These infantry units don't get to fire. They're just going to be on the receiving end of the bomber payloads. So whatever is left of the bombers will drop their payloads and assess damage against the artillery or the infantry. Now, I did not include the artillery unit. I guess I probably should have. Then we would have had well, we can't because this is high level bombing only. So that would be in a normal combat firing thing. So the high level bombing is first in the order of phases. So you have your bombers come in and do their bombing, then it's artillery, and then you move ground forces. Okay, and artillery, if they fire in their phase, then it's just them against the receiving infantry units or artillery units or tanks or what have you. They the receiving side can't hit the artillery. They're way behind lines. So they're going to have a range of 2. So if they're shooting over somebody and getting to the target, then nobody can touch them. They fire and do damage. So in the combat phase, then you are moving into the same square. And at that point, you can choose to send fighter escort or dive bomber escorts or something along those lines, along with the infantry or the tanks. But you have to keep in mind that a unit can only move and be in combat once in a particular turn. So if your fighters have been used up in bomber support, or in anti-bomber support if you're on the defensive side, then their turn is over. They have no movement left. They can't join in to help defend against the infantry or the onslaught. So that is combat in a nutshell, and this screen will be changing dramatically. This was just kind of a first swag to get things to where I can see them and feel them and put my hands on them and be able to come up with the ideas for what's next. So I want to thank you all for watching.